Snowboarding boots are expensive, and the worst part is, once you buy a pair, you're probably stuck with the same one for the rest of the season. So, here's exactly how to make sure you get the best boots to maximize your performance and avoid foot pain on the mountain. Hi, my name's Kai. I'm an entrepreneur turned snowboarder, and I decided to seriously start training snowboarding when I turned 30 years old. I believe snowboarding is not just a young man's sport. Anybody can get better at it with the right systems. I enjoy sharing the technical details I've learned from my training, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's jump straight in. So the first tip is actually my golden rule for buying snowboarding boots. Never buy them online. Do not buy boots online unless you are replacing the exact same pair. Same brand, same model, and same size. Why? Because every single brand just fits differently. You simply cannot assume one size will be the same across different brands. This requires a mindset I call brand agnosticism. This means your focus must be on fit and function, not just buying a brand because you like their logo. I know, blasphemy. The reality is you'll spend hours on the mountain and you must try the boots on physically. So unless you are buying the exact same pair of boots at the exact same size you know already works, stick to the shop. Now, before you even look at specific sizes, you need to decide on stiffness. This dictates your potential and what you can actually do on the mountain. For example, if you want a free ride, carve, or hit jumps, you generally want a medium to stiff boot. You need that stability for speed and landings. On the other hand, if you want to jib or do ground tricks, a softer boot will give you the mobility you need. Just a reminder, all boots soften over time, so if you buy a soft boot now, it'll probably become a noodle later. Also, pro tip. Match your system. Don't buy a soft boot and put it in a stiff binding. You won't be able to transfer power effectively, or vice versa. Once you know the stiffness that you need, let's talk about sizing. You really want to ignore your sneaker size. Use the foot scale at the shop. And here is a crucial detail. Bring in the exact socks you plan to ride in. For instance, thick cotton socks versus thin technical socks can change the fit by half a size. Next, when you put the boot on, don't just lace it up immediately. You need to do something called the heel slam. Kick your heel into the ground 2 or 3 times to pack your foot in all the way back into the pocket of the boot. If you don't do this, your toes will be jammed at the front and you'll think the boot is too small, and you end up buying a size too big, which is a disaster. Once laced or bored, it should feel snug. It's okay to feel your toes to touch at the end, but it is not okay for them to be curled up. Don't equate comfortable with loose. If it's loose in the shop, probably be sloppy on the mountain. Okay, so once the boot is properly on your foot, run these 2 tests. First, the 10-minute rule. Walk around the shop for at least 10 minutes. If you feel any numbness or blood flow restrictions now, there will be excruciating pain after 3 hours on the mountain. If you feel a pressure point, don't buy the boot. Second, try the Shin Drive. Lace it tight, stand in the snowboard stance, and drive your knees aggressively forward. Keep your sole flat on the ground. If your heel slides up significantly while you do this, that's a fail. That's what we call a heel lift. Heel lift will kill your toe side turns. But we aren't done yet. There are 3 upgrades that changes everything. Number 1 is heat molding. If the liner allows it, like Deluxe, absolutely do it. The difference will be night and day. Number 2 is lacing systems. Get to know the systems. I prefer the fast lacing system on the Deluxe, but dual bores are also great. The thing about dual bores is you can customize the fit, the tightness of the fit of your boot by tightening the bottom bore or the top bore. Finally, there is the traditional lacing system. For that, you can really customize the fit, but it just takes a lot of effort to lace up and put on the boots, so I would suggest that if you have a lot of energy. But for me, personally, I prefer the fast lace system. Again, my advice would just be try them on and see which one you like. Thirdly, perhaps the most underrated and most overlooked, insoles. Stock insoles aren't just very good, to be honest. They're usually just fillers. All the budget goes into making the shell and the liner. But for insoles, personally, I do use FP insoles. They use a material called king foam that can absorb up to 90% of impact energy. For freestyle, this saves your knees when you land deep. And a quick tip on this, if you have custom insoles or you plan on buying them, bring them to the shop when you're about to heat mold them. Put your insole inside the liner, put your foot in it, and then heat mold the whole thing to ensure the optimum fit. So, just for reference, what am I riding? I'm riding the Deluxe Demon Pro. It's an 8 out of 10 stiffness. I need the responsiveness for the medium jumps I'm working on and for locking in carves. Also, I have extremely flat feet, so Deluxe has a naturally wider profile that, combined with heat molding, fits my foot shape perfectly. But remember, don't buy what I buy just because I said so. Go to the shop, be brand agnostic, and find the boot that fits you. Finally, I know this is a lot of info to remember when you're actually in the shop or about to buy some boots, so I made a boot buying checklist for you. It covers the stiffness guide, the sizing rules, and the shop tests. You can download it from the link in the description, save it to your phone, so you don't miss any important steps. Thanks for watching. See you on the mountain. Let's talk stiffness. Whether it's boots, bindings, or boards, we use a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is a noodle, which is extremely soft, and 10 is a concrete stick, which is extremely stiff. 5 is the middle ground. Remember one golden rule before we start: boots always soften over time. So a boot that feels like a 7 in the shop will feel like a 6 after 10 days of riding. So keep that in mind when you're buying. And remember, brands sometimes will use different systems to name their boots. So for example, there's a flex rate here of 8 out of 10. That just means it's a stiffness of 8 out of 10. Some brands like to brand it up a little bit, so they use personality to indicate stiffness levels. So we got soft and playful, happy medium, stiff and aggressive. I think they're all kind of self-explanatory, so we won't spend too much time there. I will do another video on the different disciplines of snowboarding, so keep an eye out for that. But let's start with ground trick and jibbing. So for ground tricks and jibbing, you need gear that is a bit more soft and playful. So for your boots, you will need to be able to distort and maneuver the boot to lock in tail presses and butters. And since you're usually staying within a meter of the ground, you don't need massive shock absorption. You usually prioritize maneuverability, so I would say ground trick and jibbing would be at a flex of 4 to 5 is the better way to categorize them. So let's put these here. And my general recommendation is, just look for a flex 4 or 5. Don't go above 6 because it'll probably be too hard to press. And if you go below a 3, it just means I just think it will soften way too fast over time. And then let's look at freestyle jumps. When you move to jumps, specifically anything over 4 meters, you will start to feel the drop. So you need a boot with a backbone to kind of have some of that shock absorption and safety, and a stiffer boot will also help you set up your approach carves with more stability. So I would say if you're looking to get into freestyle jumps and you want to progress from small jumps to medium jumps, at least go for a 6 and then work your way up towards 7 or even 8. Especially when you start to hit the bigger kickers, you definitely want a stiffer boot to be able to have a lot of power transfer and a lot of pop. And then let's look at the free ride and carving. I've kind of categorized them together, but they're also 2 very different styles. For free ride, you are actually you're more likely to be on a longer, stiffer board for powder to stay afloat. So your boots need to match the energy. So think of this as driving a F1 car. You need your power transition to be quick and snappy. If your boot is too soft, you lose response. So my recommendation is probably do not go below a 6 if you're looking to get into free ride and carving. Ideally, you want to be in the 7 to 8 range. I don't think there is a stiffness 9 or 10, but I could be wrong. But definitely stay on the stiffer side if you want to do free ride or carving to really drive that board and get the most out of your equipment.